From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and this is Hoops 101. Now, they've called me for years the Hoops Guru, CBB, NBA Guru. It don't really matter. But I love the game of basketball, period, point blank. I love the way the ball dribbles up and down the court. I love this sport. I'm telling you. I've been following it my whole life, 30 plus years to be exact, and man, oh man, I just love the game. I'm a big Laker fan, but as you can see, I'm wearing Knicks giddy up. I got my Knicks jacket on and my New York Knicks hat. But pretty much, this was an awesome drip, so I couldn't pass it up. So thank you very much, Mitchell and Ness, New Era. You know, I had to go ahead and do it. But all in all, let's get down to the hoops, man. Opening night, Brooklyn, Golden State, Barclays Center, KD, Kyrie, teaming up for the first time, going against Steph Curry and pretty much a ragtag bunch of guys, and the second pick in the draft, James Wiseman, and former first pick in the draft, Andre Wiggins. So pretty much it was a pretty fun night. The Nets have now arrived as one of the elite teams in the Eastern Conference and probably in the NBA as well too. We got some good things going on there in Brooklyn now. But let me tell you why I want to talk about Brooklyn first. KD, what a game the other night. He stepped onto the floor, went 3-3, scored 10 points like immediately. And that was more points than the Warriors in the first 6.5 minutes of the game. And then he literally just went ahead and took his time. He only scored 12 more points after that. But still, there were some really great shots, some really good looks for him as well. And it just seemed like he was very comfortable with his team. And I'm telling you right now, KD in Brooklyn may be the best version of KD we'll ever see. Now, Kyrie will probably think that this is a two-man thing, but I'm telling you right now, KD can carry this load all on his own. Having Kyrie is a great compliment, and now Kyrie can actually sit up there and brag about being one of the leaders on a very good team once again. So the Brooklyn Nets, the other night, they really housed the Warriors. The Warriors looked absolutely dreadful. This team is really in a bad situation right now without Klay Thompson. With Draymond Green was out for that game as well too. But I'm going to be dead honest with you. This Warriors team will never be the same again. Reason being is because this squad pretty much lost it all when they let go of Andrew Iguodala. Let me go ahead and break down the story for you with the Warriors. The Warriors' whole run started about 6-7 years ago, right? The Warriors were just an average, middling playoff team in the Western Conference with Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Steph Curry. Then came a guy by the name of Andrew Iguodala, but we always forget about the other big free agent that came from New York by the name of David Lee. And pretty much this was the biggest summer ever for the Golden State Warriors. Before this is pre-Durant, pre-other free agents as well too. But this was the beginning of making Golden State a landing spot. And this right here was the beginning of a great franchise. You guys also have to remember that Harrison Barnes was a part of that team as well too. That was the original big three of the Warriors. So the Warriors started really losing pieces the moment that Harrison Barnes left. And yeah, they kept being good. They kept killing it and all that good stuff. But that team nucleus has been gone for some time. So that's why the Warriors had a great run for a good 5 years. But now that time is over, and it's time to return back to being the old running gun Warriors who only play good basketball when they see buckets going in. But all in all, great game the other night. Brooklyn goes ahead and wins that bad boy in stylish fashion. And I'm telling you right now, that team is going to be something to reckon with. The Atlantic Division is now going to be the most exciting division in all of basketball, in my opinion. You got the Knicks, the bottom feeders. Then you got the 76ers. Still, you got Ben and Joel. And then you have the deep Toronto Raptors squad with a lot of athleticism, even though they did lose some key players in free agency. And then you also have the Boston Celtics, the elephant in the room. So that's it for our first segment. And pretty much that was a awesome first night for Brooklyn. And Brooklyn goes off and wins that game 99-125. And it was a great night for Brooklyn fans. And I know that they are going to be pumped up for the rest of the season.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
Welcome back to Hoops 101 with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And let's go ahead and talk about them Lakers. The Lakers last night were able to receive their rings. We're looking good, having a great night. You know, before we actually got to play and everything like that, everybody seemed very excited about getting their brand new rings, those big things that they had on their fingers, because those diamonds, them was some big diamonds right there. And one of the bigger rings that I've seen in NBA championship history as well too. So the Lakers had a lot of excitement around them. No crowd for the first time ever at Staples Center, and that wasn't because they're playing like the Clippers or playing like how the Lakers did 5 years ago. It's just because we got the pandemic and things aren't safe until they say it's safe. So the Lakers, that was the first strike against the Lakers last night. Second strike against the Lakers last night was the poor effort that they showed in the first quarter, being outscored 22 points to start the game. 39 points in the first quarter is unacceptable. And then they bounced back, had a very good second quarter, but then once again lost the third quarter by 9 points last night. They were able to get it together a little bit in the fourth quarter, but it was a little too late. And as I said on my show earlier yesterday on the Primetime Angles, that the Lakers would have some issues, and pretty much that's exactly what happened. So there it is. The Lakers go ahead and lose this game 116-107, and the Lakers shot from three-point. They were terrible. They were 9 for 39. It looked like 9 for 29, 9 for 39. It doesn't matter. They was shot 31% from the three-point arc, and LeBron was the leader in three-pointers as well too. So that's kind of a weird look in itself. LeBron leading in three-pointers for the night, and he's done it before, but you're just not used to that either. But once again, if AD doesn't get over 20 points or so, the Lakers are in trouble. And that's the biggest thing. The Lakers have to have AD and LeBron really carry the scoring load in majority of their games. And when one of them's having an off night, you would much rather be LeBron having an off night. AD is the young bull, the young catalyst, all that stuff. So last night wasn't bad, but he needs to be better than 18 points. And also, the big men need to be grabbing those boards as well, too. Last night, Dennis Schroeder was able to score 14 points and also was able to get 12 rebounds last night. That's great, but he's the point guard. The point guard is getting 12 rebounds last night, and we still won the rebounding battle. But still, we need to make sure that big man is earning his money and then cleaning up that rim as well too. There were a lot of easy buckets scored last night by the Clippers. Things need to be adjusted by the Lakers immediately. But all in all, though, I give the Clippers their props. They came out tough. They looked good at it as well too. They made the Lakers be a different team last night. The Lakers didn't want to match their physical. So what happened was that the Clippers took full advantage of that, and they wound up having themselves a great game last night. Paul George able to score 20 points in the third quarter last night and finish up the game with 33 points as we speak. And then Kawhi Leonard got his 26. Don't you see the difference? They win the game by 7 because both their stars scored over 25 points. Then you have Serge Ibaka, who chipped in 15 last night as well too, and Patrick Beverly, who got his 10 points as well. And then you got a good effort from the bench, a quiet effort, but it was still good. You got 22 points combined from Lou Williams and Zubac. So that was helpful as well too, and this winds up being a very thorough Clippers win. And the Clippers feel real good about themselves moving into their next game, which will be on Christmas as well too. So you guys, I'm telling you right now, this is going to be a great season, and this is going to be a back-and-forth tussle between the Clippers and the Lakers. The hallway series has never been this lit, and it's just going to get more and more epic as we move along. And just watch when they let fans into the arena and see how crazy it gets, especially if there's a playoff appearance between these two teams as well, too. So pretty much with that, the Clippers go ahead and win this game 116-109, led by Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, who combined for a 59 points of the 116 that they had. So there it is. We have a long season ahead of us, Lake Show, but that's the state of the Lakers, and that was the last game for the Lakers as well, too, until Christmas when they play against the Mavericks. We'll be right back.
All right, we are back with Hoops 101 with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And boy, oh boy, what a game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's go ahead and look at the Cavs and the Hornets the other night over at Quicken Loans Arena in Cleveland. It was an empty arena, but the Cavs looked really good in this game. LaMelo Ball was the talk of the town, talk of the league, all that good stuff. Already having big expectations to be the rookie of the year, all that good stuff. But last night he did go scoreless. So pretty much the reality of the NBA has pretty much said hello to Mr. Ball. But they did get a great effort last night from Scary Terry Rozier. Scary Terry Rozier was able to go for 42 points last night, but it just wasn't enough as his team fell 121-114. Reason being is because the Cavs lit it up last night. Their trio of young guards, Darius Garland, Colin Sexton, and Justin Okoro all went ahead and combined for 60 points last night. We had Sexton go for 27, Garland had 22, and the rookie Okoro had 11 last night. So there it goes. No Kevin Love last night. That was okay for the Cavs. They went ahead and took care of their business. Very great effort from them. A lot of people were betting on the Hornets to win that game, but I had the feeling the whole time that this game would probably fall in the hands of the Cavs. So once again, Cavs win that game 121-114. All right, so we move on to our next to our next game. Bucks versus Celtics. Boy, oh boy, that was a game last night. Giannis versus Tatum. Giannis was able to drop 35 points last night and was able to get 25 from Jrue Holiday. And Chris Middleton also scored 27 as well. And it was a back and forth game most of the night, but it was just tough to stop the combination of Tatum and Brown. Both these guys combined for 63 points last night and just put this team on their shoulders. And as I've been saying for the last few years, that this team, it predicates everything through those two top draft picks that they got about maybe 5 years ago or so when they were building up the Celtics team, but somewhat still being in the playoffs and all that good stuff and still being a top 4 seed as well. So the Celtics have done an excellent job. Red Auerbach is so proud of Danny Ainge, but only thing is Danny only has 1 ring. But all in all, the Bucks coming in as the perennial favorite for the Eastern Conference. They had themselves a pretty good game. They had the game locked up. Giannis misses the free throw late in the game, and then this sets up a beautiful moment for the Boston Celtics with Jason Tatum going one-on-one with the 2-time MVP Giannis and calling his shot, saying game off the glass with a buzzer beater to help propel those Boston Celtics to a 2-point victory last night. And man, it was a crazy situation. Boston wins the game 122-121. Sorry about that. But yes, they did win the game 122-121 last night. Excellent finish for that crew. And we move on. Hawks, Bulls. Boy, oh boy, that game wound up being a landslide last night. Trae Young put on a historic performance last night. He goes 10 for 12, drops 37 points, and literally, this is the only time ever somebody has scored 37 points with only attempting 12 shots. Oh boy, what a career that's ahead for Mr. Trae Young. He could be just more than just an exciting shooter if this Atlanta team can get it together. And boy, oh boy, did they get it together last night. They were able to be up 40 points at one point in the game last night. They dropped 83 points in the first half as well, too. And they really made this a no contest very early against the Chicago Bulls team that, you know what, pretty much just was overwhelmed by a Hawks team that they didn't expect to come out like that. So pretty much there it is. The Hawks go ahead and get a 20-point victory last night in Chicago, winning the game 124-104. They also had 5 players in double figures as well last night. So it was a big, tremendous game for this team, and they are cruising. Actually, they had 7. Let me take that back. 7 Hawks scored in double figures. So a great game, great moment. Zach LaVine was able to dropped 22 points last night, and Markken also had 21, but it just was not enough to help this Bulls team last night with them falling 124-104 once again. The Hawks get themselves a resounding opening victory. We'll be right back with Hoops 101. Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange. All right, we're back with the Hoops 101, and it's the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And man, we had ourselves a game last night in Toronto. The young Pelicans are going from boys to men very quickly. Brandon Ingram was able to lead the way last night with 24 points. And also, Lonzo Ball dropped in 16 and was able to hit 4 shots last night. Only 4 shots, but all 4 were 3-pointers. So he finishes with 16 last night. Ingram finishes with 24. They had some 5 players finish in double figures as well last night. So that was something to write home about. And they didn't even need Zion to be the leading scorer last night. Zion only scored 15 points in 29 minutes of play last night. So the SVG movement is moving a little bit, and maybe he might be the upgrade that the Pelicans were looking for. But they did get themselves a good victory last night against a very, very overwhelmed Raptors team. A lot of us were surprised by the effort the Raptors gave last night. Siakam only had 20 points last night. You expect more from a guy who's getting paid the big dollars now to be the face of the franchise. But all in all, though, the Raptors seem to be a team that's trying to figure out where they need to go to, but it's still early. It's only game one, and things like this happen. And I think the Pelicans were just hungry to get back on that basketball court and prove to themselves that, hey, we are a team to be reckoned with, and you need to go ahead and, take us very seriously. And that's what occurred last night. The Pelicans go ahead and win the game, 113-99, and they'll be back on Christmas Day. We'll talk about that in a moment. All right. Now, Kings at Nuggets. This was the wildest game of the night last night. Big finish. Buddy Hield pretty much went ahead and reintroduced himself back to the basketball world with a thrilling tip-in to win the game last night. And Buddy also was able to finish up with 20-plus points last night as well, too. Had a great effort. 7 Kings scored in double figures last night. This is the makings of a team that's improving. And a lot of people aren't looking at the Kings and taking them very seriously. But I think it might be time for us to take them a little seriously now. De'Aaron Fox, Marvin Bagley, they all had great games last night as well, too. They scored in double figures as well. They pushed the pace. They were able to come back from a 7-point deficit as well. And you know what? They did a great job defensively because we had 5 Nuggets in double figures. But guess what? Jamal Murray wasn't one of them. Jamal Murray only scored 9 points last night. So there it is. This team is on the up and up, in my opinion. And I think that we need to start taking them a little bit seriously. Denver did get a great effort from the Joker, Jokic. He was able to score 29. And MPJ scored 24 points last night as well, too, to kind of pick up the pieces a little bit for Murray, who just struggled last night. There's just nothing more to it. But all in all, you got to give the Kings their props. They go ahead and get a 124-122 victory last night. And it is what it is. You have to recognize the Kings are going to be here, and they want some respect, as Rodney Dangerfield would say. All right, Mavs Suns, which was the nightcap, the feature game on ESPN last night as well, too. LUKA versus Booker, and LUKA had himself a game last night, but they did come up short. LUKA was able to drop 32 points last night and also had 8 rebounds, 5 assists. Book dropped 22 points, had 5 rebounds, and 3 assists last night. There were 6 Suns that scored in double digits, and one of them's name wasn't Chris Paul. So pretty much Chris Paul had 8 points last night. He just kind of pushed the pace a little bit for this team and made sure that, buckets were in place. They were able to get themselves a 4-point victory last night, and they had a great defensive effort. LUKA did do his thing, but they pretty much shut down the rest of the team last night, and that's what you're going to have to do when you play against the Mavericks. You're going to have to make LUKA do literally everything and try to have him beat you 1-on-5. And it kind of was like that last night, but all in all, the Suns had a great team effort, and it's great to see Monty Williams and Chris Paul reunited once again, because you guys have to remember that was one of Chris Paul's coaches in New Orleans as well, and that was probably the best point for New Orleans when Monty Williams and Chris Paul were together, and also they had Tyson Chandler and David West as well, too. So the Suns get themselves opening night victory, winning 106-102, and with that, we'll be right back.
I would hope for something like that. I think we need to send this moment support to it's basketball. I think they should change NBA logo design of Kobe Bryant. But it's really heartbreaking, and to all the families affected. I just can't imagine what that's like to go.
All right, we are back, and it's that time. Pretty much we're over here running at the end of the show here, pretty much in our 4th quarter and everything right now. And this is my 2 cents on some of the NBA current events going on right now. And I know it's only one really major one right now, and that's the peculiar case of James Harden. James Harden was a very highly touted high school player coming out of Artesia High School. But he always had a chip on his shoulder because people were always looking past old James Harden. He went to Artesia High School, a school that had Jason Capono go to it as well, the three-point champion UCLA Bruin. And there were other great players that were there as well. Funny thing is, a lot of people don't know this about James Harden. That state-winning championship team that he played on, he wasn't even the star. The star was a guy by the name of Renardo Sidney. Even though James Harden was the lefty that kept the team going and kept them doing what they had to do and was there much longer than Renardo Sidney, a superstar prospect coming from Mississippi. And at that time, the big man was still highly coveted as well, too. So we go ahead and fast forward, and he gets his own team in Arizona by way of Tempe when he was playing for the Arizona State Sun Devils. And pretty much he had himself a great time there. It was able to beat UCLA and USC and wound up staying not 1 but 2 years actually. And James Harden became a rock star in the state of Arizona. So pretty much he takes his basketball journey onto OKC and becomes a part of a very fun young tandem with KD and with Russ, a.k.a. the Brody, Russell Westbrook. So they go ahead and form up a great team and literally help end the Lakers dynasty in a sense when they were able to get that big win in 2012 and propel them to the finals as well. And then from there, they were able to meet up with LeBron and assist LeBron on winning his first championship. After that, James Harden was sent to the Houston Rockets because OKC just had kind of ran out of money and they felt like he wasn't going to be as great as KD and Russ. Once again, more motivation for James Harden. James Harden goes to Houston and becomes their de facto face of the franchise and becomes one of the top scorers in the NBA, if not one of the top scorers to ever play the game. And there it goes again, motivation to prove the doubters wrong. Now James Harden is at a crossroads in his career. He's at the point where he wants to make the choice where he wants to play at, but the team that he's playing for isn't going to allow that. And he's went through the motions with this team for the last 8 years. He was able to accumulate future Hall of Famers and Carmelo Anthony and Chris Paul. He was able to get former Defensive Players of the Year and guys like Dwight Howard. And then he was able to be reunited with his good friend, Russell Westbrook, last season. None of this has worked to help the Rockets get back to the NBA Finals for the first time since 1995. James Harden feels like he's ran his course in Houston. And this right now is some bad behavior, to be dead honest with you. This is a dangerous sediment being set by him. Because the other guys, they force their ways out of their respective cities, but not in the way that James Harden has. James Harden, strip club, just trying to fight teammates, really not feeling a new coach. You know, this is getting really messy here in Houston, and I really truly think the best place to send James Harden to, and I'm not co-signing these guys, but I know I'm wearing their hat, I know I'm wearing their jacket, but if you're the Knicks, get on the phone right now and try to give whatever you can to bring James Harden to 42nd Street. I'm telling you right now, try to go ahead and get that man over there to the Garden, all right? And pretty much, man, we have ourselves a great slate of games coming up on Christmas Day as well. And looking forward to it. You got the Pelicans and the Heat starting off the day. Warriors and Bucks getting it on at 11:30 a.m. And we know why the Warriors are here, because they were around for a few years and they still got Steph Curry, who's one of the faces of the league. Then you have the Nets and the Celtics, which will probably be the most competitive game of the day and the most anticipated game of the day. Then you have the Lakers and the Mavericks going at it, and that should be fun. LUKA versus LeBron, and you know, there's going to be a lot of hype around that game as well, too. Lakers looking to get their first win of the season as well. Then you have the Clippers Nuggets. having a ultimate monster rematch. And I know the Clippers are seeking revenge, and I know that Denver wants to keep the good times rolling. So Christmas Day games are going to be absolutely epic. I look forward to it. And we will be back next week, and we'll be talking college basketball's top players and top teams, and also what's going on in the NBA. This is Hoops 101 with your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. And you guys, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you as well. Thank you for tuning into the Primetime Angles, the premier sports betting show, hosted by the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper. This is a Prime Wave Media production, and go ahead and press that subscribe button.